Chapter 397. Some of them looked at her deduction process, while others lowered their heads and did their own calculations. Thea scratched her head. The speed of this spaceship could exceed the speed of light. Ignoring the energy consumption, it would take at least a year to fly back. The tens of millions of people in the glass dome could not wait for a year, and the spaceship could not fit 10 million people. The only plan now was to warp back to the solar system. However, only Thea could adapt to the powerful overload. Showing such a strong physique in public would inevitably expose her ability, which was not in line with her plan. What should she do? Thea was also in deep thought with a large group of scientists. The difference was that while the scientists were thinking about how to get home, Thea was thinking about how to continue the show. After thinking about it, she decided not to expose herself first. She contacted the nearby Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, and asked him to help send the spaceship back to the solar system. Just as she was about to put it into action, she heard the little troublemaker Louise Lane shouting, "Superman is here! Superman is here!" The surrounding people were very excited and asked, "Where's Superman? How do you know he is here? Are you in contact?" Thea saw this scene and was a little speechless. Louise Lane and Clark Kent were so close, but this group of slow people in the metropolis did not connect Clark to Superman. She really did not know what to say. However, it was a good thing that Superman was here. At least she did not have to waste a favor. Opening the Eye of Horus, Sia looked out of the spaceship and saw Clark, who was wearing a blue shirt and a red cloak. His eyebrows were furrowed, and his lips were pursed tightly. It could be seen that this old man had run away in order to save his wife. "Clark, it's Thea. The spaceship is under control. You can come in from the rear entrance of the spaceship." Thea originally wanted to discuss the plan outside, but found that Superman was no different from Batman. He could not communicate telepathically, so she could only let him in. "Superman is here. Superman is here to save us. We're saved." When the people in the spaceship saw Superman enter, they were all excited. This made Thea a little depressed. After all, the people present were not ordinary people. Most of them were government military personnel. 60% of them were people who usually peed their pants when they heard Superman's name. Now that they were so supportive of Superman, it could only be said that Superman's reputation had been maxed out. "You're unhappy too, aren't you?" Only Lex Luthor would speak in such an eccentric manner. According to his heart, he would rather fly back to Earth directly than accept Superman's help. He, who was originally unhappy, noticed a trace of unhappiness on Thea's face. This kind of expression had appeared on his face many times over the past year. It was the kind of expression that would appear on Superman's face even after working hard for half a day. He, who was in the same boat, felt much better now. Luthor used his chin to point at Superman, who was surrounded by people. A perfect alien with a godlike character. People only worship strength and ignore wisdom and knowledge. Thea did not comment. She pretended not to know him and introduced the situation to Superman. Superman completely understood why she hid her true identity. In his opinion, Earth heroes like Thea and Batman did the same. They usually used one identity and another during battle. It was not a big problem. After listening to Thea's explanation, Superman said without hesitation, "I'll push the spaceship away. Can you do it?" Thea secretly asked him telepathically. Superman could not directly reply to her, so he just nodded slightly. Thea thought about it and could not think of a better way. At worst, she could use the light ring to replenish him with some yellow energy. After instructing Superman to prepare in space, Thea began to calibrate the position. Brainiac did not care about Earth at all. It did not keep Earth's coordinates in its spaceship. Thea had to calculate Earth's position. Brother Superman was similar to Diana in the original spacetime. He clearly had the ability to travel through space, but he stayed on Earth for decades. Superman came so quickly this time because he relied on Louise Lane's locator to find her. Otherwise, he might not be able to find her even if he searched for her all over the universe. After calculating the position, the engine ignited and started. The spaceship emitted a huge tail flame and flew towards Earth at the speed of light. Superman waited for a while until the spaceship speed reached its limit. Then he pushed the tail of the spaceship with both hands and relied on his flying ability to add a huge amount of thrust to the spaceship. 3 days later, when Thea announced that they were about to enter the solar system, everyone on the spaceship cheered. Few praised Thea, but many praised Superman. They did not know that if Thea had not sent a clone to recharge Superman with the light ring, Superman would have been dead from exhaustion. Superman did not enter the spaceship for 3 days because he wanted to help Thea cover up her secret. He did not want anyone to see his weak state. After entering the solar system, he returned to Earth directly. The few core members of the anti-Superman committee did not know the inside story. They were even more afraid of Superman, who had limitless stamina. We will enter Earth's atmosphere in 3 minutes. Begin deceleration. Thea trained a group of scientists to be spaceship pilots. Several old men in their 50s and 60s were used to her command. They began to prepare for landing in a flurry. When they entered the solar system, the first person to contact Earth was Luthor. This guy had even launched his satellite into Jupiter's orbit. Following that, several military bigwigs and Thea also received feedback from their respective satellites. They contacted their subordinates and superiors respectively. Fortunately, the melodramatic scene of being attacked by a nuclear bomb did not happen. Thea's superior was naturally Comrade Moira. She probably knew what she was capable of. She had not heard from her for a week, but she was not very worried about her. She just said that she would pick her up at the scene and bring her a big surprise. A big surprise? What the hell was that? Thea did not understand, but there was no time to think about it. Before the spaceship entered the atmosphere and landed, Minister of Defense General Swanwick eagerly boarded the spaceship in a special plane. This spaceship is intact? The moment they met, the African minister pulled them into a small meeting. Before they could even sit down, he impatiently asked. The small meeting was really small. There were only 4 people, including Thea. They were all personnel who knew her true identity. Faced with the minister's question, the generals all looked at Thea. They could not help it. They were not as capable as Luthor. Learning a foreign language that had nothing to do with Earth's language in the blink of an eye? It was too difficult for these old men. The damage is not serious. The weapon system and propulsion system are all intact. However, I don't recommend the military dismantle it. Why? The minister asked, puzzled. This is Brainiac's spaceship. The spaceship is only temporarily blocked. I can't guarantee that there are no other communication devices in the spaceship. You must know that this is a top-level artificial intelligence that has destroyed countless planets. Its technology is far beyond our understanding, Thea said very seriously. The minister was helpless. Previously, the Krypton spaceship was almost smashed into pieces. The military had been busy for a year but did not manage to get anything good. Now that they finally had an intact spaceship, it could not be moved. However, he still asked with uncertainty, is this Brainiac that you mentioned really that powerful? Yes. The guards on the spaceship this time are only one of its countless clones. In order to kill it, we sacrificed more than 30 warriors. It can make billions of robots like this. Once it gets serious, no planet in the universe can stop it. Thea had to break their fantasy. If Krypton could not stop it, it was even more impossible for Earthlings to do so. Chapter 398. The African minister scratched his head. In the end, he could only put the matter aside and restore the metropolis to its original state. In the week that they disappeared, the entire world's media went crazy. They could not cover up the disappearance of such a large city even if they wanted to. The other big countries said they were concerned, but they were actually enjoying the show. Thea thought about it, then called the minister to one side and whispered a few words to him. What? There are aliens in the spaceship? How many are there? General Swanwick was shocked. He was not happy at all as a minister. He spent his days wandering around the aliens. Those who did not know better would think that he was in charge of Earth's affairs with the aliens. Thea did a rough calculation. There were more than 20 glass domes, and the same number of alien cities. Although many life forms died due to environmental problems, there were still a few alien races that had strong vitality and persevered. They only lacked atomized equipment. About 100,000? Thea said uncertainly. Seeing General Swanwick's bloodshot eyes and trembling lips, Thea continued to explain. They are all cities that were taken away by Brainiac's spaceship. I took a look and they are all life forms in the nearby star systems. They are all intelligent life forms, and their technological level is about the same as ours. No, this is too big. Even the president can't make a decision. I'll report it. Let the people who should be worried think about it. The minister thought about it and knew that this matter involved too many people. He did not dare to make a decision and had to report it. Thea did not have a choice. Breaking the glass domes and letting 100,000 aliens die was a little cruel. Other people aside, Superman had been on a spaceship before. If he knew that Thea and the government had killed 100,000 aliens, he would immediately turn evil. The minister did not think too much about it. He just felt that killing 100,000 intelligent life forms with a single order was not in line with his morals. However, he could not just leave them be. As for how to deal with these people, he would leave it to the higher-ups to discuss. Thea didn't know that her casual suggestion made the president call for a meeting of the top 5 that very night. All kinds of advisors, think tanks, international experts, and former leaders gathered and discussed behind closed doors for 7 days. They still couldn't make up their minds whether to execute, expel, or take her in. Of course, this was a story for the future. Thea was very busy at the moment. The AI could easily take away the city, and she wanted to put it back in its original state. This required a lot of calculations, including the city plan, spatial coordinates, and the angle of anti-atomization. There weren't enough scientists on the spaceship, including Luther, so they urgently gathered the world's renowned scientists to calculate. Thea's old acquaintances, Dr. Sarah Stone from the Red House Laboratory, Reverse Lightning from the Advanced Technology Laboratory, and Psyker were all forcefully pulled over by various organizations to help, regardless of whether they were willing or not. After working for a day and a night, the results were finally out. Connect to the glass dome of Metropolis. Coordinates confirmed. Airspace is prohibited in this area. Activate the space stabilizer and equalizer. After a series of complicated instructions, Thea checked that there were no errors before giving the final order. Activate the anti-atomization ray. Different from the anti-atomization equipment they were researching, the built-in ray of the spaceship was at least 200 years more advanced than the equipment they had developed. A colorful ray shone into the glass dome, and the moment it shone, the space displacement was activated. The displacement coordinates were calculated by Thea and the others. The originally empty flatland was instantly filled with skyscrapers. The dirt was replaced by asphalt roads, and an artificial lake appeared abruptly on the flatland. Tens of millions of citizens had no idea that they had returned to their original state. Except for a few screeching zoo animals, it was as if nothing had happened at all. The people who saw this scene on the monitor were very excited. Psyker, who was recruited, was a little excited. He wanted to find someone to high-five to celebrate, but he found that the people in the room were all old men and old women. The only 3 young people were himself, Thea, and Lex Luthor. Luthor pulled a long face as if everyone owed him money. Psyker did not dare to provoke him. He gently high-fived Thea to celebrate. The city had returned to its original state, but there were more or less some flaws. Thea at least saw that the city's sewer pipes were off by 5 meters, various oil and electricity transmission, and the suburban roads were a little off, but these were not things she should worry about. Let the metropolitan government deal with them. Thea. Not long after they walked out of the spaceship, they saw Moira. The mother and daughter hugged each other warmly. Come and see who this is. Moira's face was full of smiles, and a young man walked out from behind her. Thea. The young man's temperament was calm and his face was serious, but he still showed a heartfelt joy when he saw his family. Oliver. Thea was really surprised. This was not an act, this was a real surprise. It was difficult for her to show such an expression, but after calculating for a day and a night, she was a little dizzy. When she suddenly saw Oliver alive, she could not control her emotions. I missed you so much. Thea hugged Oliver tightly. The memories of her childhood and youth were deliberately faded, but not buried. Her feelings were real and so was her family. Thea was affected by her own emotions for a moment, and the corners of her eyes were a little wet. She only hated herself for not helping Oliver earlier. The family of 3 hugged each other and cried. Many scientists on the spaceship and many citizens who came to thank them when they learned that they had returned to normal silently watched all this. The image of a strong, intelligent, and caring girl came into everyone's eyes. This was the representative of the modern heroes of the United States. She was calm in the face of trouble, calm in command, and so humane. The onlookers gave the family of 3 their blessings and applause. It's a pity that her talent is wasted. She's a woman after all. Very coincidentally, there was also a family of 3 on Luther's side. Although he wanted to be in the limelight, he was an old man in his 30s. It was impossible for him to cry while hugging his mother and brother like Thea. Luther was very unhappy and left the scene with his mother and sister. It had been 2 days since Oliver returned to the United States. He also learned that his sister had saved the city. His heart was filled with pride, but it was still awkward to be surrounded by so many people. He hurriedly pulled his mother and sister and left the scene after Luther. Oliver did not know about the trouble his sister had caused in the past few years. As soon as her brother appeared, his name instantly appeared on the desk of many insiders. The government and the Pentagon copied his information from the Heaven's Eye Society to evaluate this person's future achievements and influence on Thea. Several heroes such as Superman, Batman, and the Martian Manhunter were collecting information on him through different channels. Several neutral or evil subordinates, such as Poison Ivy and Gruder, gathered together to listen to Death Knell tell the story that he and Oliver had to tell.